that everyone can hear me well. This is it's beautiful, beautiful day. This is February, Valentine. Got my rose here. It's Valentine, and it's a memorable month for me because in 1994 I started Kids Dental Care in February 15th. I was going to start on the 14th, which was a Monday, but my ex didn't want me to start on Valentine's Day because we were, and now we're ex anyway. But anyway, I didn't work that day and I started. And the whole thing was strategic though, because I knew this is also Children's Dental Health Month. And shout out to Children's Dental Health Month. It's also Black History Month. Shout out to, and that's the thing. That's well as strategic for me because I represent a whole bunch of things. I'm doing just pedo and I'm Black History, so I'm making history. I'm going at it, and it's like this month was made for me, and today is made for this whole event. So I'm really proud and thankful that you guys that are out there that not only the ones that are listening, because I think what has come to me recently is that I'm only talking to a few people out there, but everybody that will hear this, you can listen. But I realize there's only a few that will really take it to heart and even know or go where I'm kind of instructing people to go. So I'm not talking to everybody. I'm just talking to, and today I'll pick my avatar. There's this guy I met online through LinkedIn in Budapest, Romania. Anyway, he sent me a message on LinkedIn. Said he's read my book, and he said I'm watching you. So he's out there, and his name is Alexandru Sporeu. Alexandru, if I'm ever in Romania, look you up, and we're gonna have a glass of wine. We sit down, and it's good to have. And I have friends. The book has afforded me to meet people in different parts of the world, as far as online. And I get some messages from friends in different parts of the world. It's beautiful. So I'm talking to people like that I think will take this thing and run. What I'm saying, and like I said, it's not for everybody, but it is for also Malcolm. Malcolm reached out to me recently, and he said, "Doc, are they checking you out?" And I'm working, and he said, you're talking about entrepreneurship and how you could get there. He said, well, my idea is I'd like to retire in 5 years with $10 million. And could I do that? I said, of course you can. So I want to kind of reveal to everybody, and I'm going to call it Malcolm's Dream because, like I said, it's also Black History Month. And Malcolm said, I have a dream. Okay. So this Malcolm has a dream, and he would like to retire in 5 years with $10 million. Well, here's the thing, $10 million is no small thing, but it's not that big a thing. And if you got 5 years, $10 million and then what we're using today so that you can remember these things is I want to use an analogy, and this is not for kids, but this is the thing that you want to have is a liquidity event. And a liquidity event, I want you to think about it like an orgasm. So it's really you want to work your way up to the orgasm. So this liquidity event, and we do it by accumulating assets. You see, assets are what you're going to pass along or sell in order to have this liquidity event. And what the people that are buying from you, they're looking for certain things. So if you were to set a goal, and I like the way he said 5 years, because here's the thing, if you're going to get there, 5 years is going to pass whether you do this or not. But if you want to do it, you want to say, well, okay, here's where I want to be. And he set a goal, a monetary goal. And let's just get this straight. This is not about money because the money at some point, and I realize that I'm old and gray now. So listen, the money is just something that you go through as far as setting a goal. It's about the experience. And a lot of people want to avoid the experience because it has some ups and some downs. But the experience is the point. You get it? The experience that you go through because it's the transformation, who you become on the journey to get to that point that you can walk away because you got to create value, $10 million worth of value. It's not going to luckily just appear. Over 5 years, you have to transform yourself into somebody who has created value that's worth $10 million to somebody, an investor or a strategic buyer, someone who's already in the industry and see you have created a platform strategically, because you're not going to work and just your thing earn $10 million and put in your pocket. It doesn't happen like that. You have to create something, a platform, a prototype, or something you work on, and that someone who's buying that of value, because what they're buying is future earnings. So they're not buying you, and that's why the thing of Dr. X or Dr. Smith or Dr. Jones is kind of starting out wrong because if you're trying to create value, you're what if you get hit by the proverbial bus? And always keep this in mind. What if I get hit by the bus? Or what if the other person, always anybody? So what you have to create is something that exists without you, keep going without you. It could work without the people that you have, even though you have to create a team because your team is like your wolf pack, you're hunting, and you have to create this thing because if you're going to do that in 5 years, you got to play the game as if you were an elite player in the pros, whether it's football, basketball, or soccer, anything. You have to dedicate 5 years of your life to getting there. And it's not going to just happen by you just getting out there and just doing dentistry or whatever it is. Anything that you're going to do, if you're going to exit in 5 years worth $10 million, you're not going to play around. You're going to have a plan. And that plan starts, and not only have a plan, what happens is that most people, even if they get a plan, they will drop. Because the fear of getting in, so they don't really jump totally in, they actually study it and they back off and then they keep saying, well, doc, I'm going to do it, and next thing I talk to them a year later and they're still talking about, well, I'm going to do it. But thing is, either you get in the water or you don't. But if you're going to get in the water, you definitely need to know how to swim. And most people don't prepare themselves how to swim, learn to swim, so they're afraid to get in the water. But also, even if you study, you still will not learn until you get in the water. So here's the thing: 5 years. Here's what I would say to Malcolm: in 5 years, what you have to do, be, do, have. You're going to have to become that person that has decided in your mind that that's who you are. You're creating that, and you're going to have that product. And what I know it offends sometimes, especially professionals like dentists, when you say a product. My business is not a product; it's something, of course. But I understand that we relate, and it's healthcare. But you still, if you're going to exit, and definitely you're going to exit with something worth $10 million, you're going to have to create a product that someone else will give you $10 million in exchange, whether it's an investment group or a strategic partner that acquires you. But anyway, it has to be something that's worth $10 million, and it can't be you, because if you just build something around you, you've created a job. And then if something happens to you, you can't come to work, the job kind of starts to go down. You have to have something that you replicate yourselves to the point where you actually, as far as a provider, you pretty much become obsolete. You have a system at work, and you have a team that's working, and you build, and you take advantage of these economies of scale, and you start to accumulate assets. And the assets, now here's the thing, it's beautiful. I want you kind of to, like I said, it's the experience along the way, the journey. And you imagine this thing sexually, if you were trying to engage in a relationship with someone and you really want something that's going to be beautiful and lasting, then you don't want, it's not something you're going to run up on and just wham bam. This is something that you work at. It begins, but you start working diligently. This is, let's say, love. That's why I say, let's think love, think love, okay, and think the major orgasm. Because there's a thing, even when they say liquidity event, a liquidity event, if you think of it like an orgasm, they have, if you exit $100 million, they used to say $100 million or larger is what is considered a major liquidity event. So really, if you're thinking about, that's like with the Viagra and the Cialis, all everything mixed together, you're going to have a major event here. But here, if you anytime you're going to have a liquidity event, you're going to have something that is really significant, and it's like an explosion, and then it's over. It's over because after a while, and then you want to do it again, and hopefully a major one. And that's the thing I'm kind of looking for. Maybe I'll do a major one. I had a liquidity event, and it was nice, and I hadn't planned the whole thing out. But as I moved closer and closer to it, I somehow just fell in my lap that that's the way I needed to go. So I had a liquidity event. Speaking of that, as I was preparing my exit, my brother Henry, who's a CEO and a CPA, he recommended this book, Walk Away Wealthy, Mark Tepper. And I'd recommend this book for you guys. Get the book. I'm telling you, the books and the seminars and the different things you're learning, you can't get there just like a lot of people think. And I'm not bragging on me, but a lot of times people say, well, you're just lucky, man. Come on. Don't think you're going to get there just being lucky. You got to work your ass off to get there to do something like that. And that's why I say you got to liken yourself unto like the pro players. In my mindset, I just watch NBA. But even my whole thing of making money, I said, well, these guys are making X amount of dollars a year. And I've been to school and put in as much effort as they have. Damn, I think I deserve the same kind of payment they get. But you know what? Since I'm independent, I have to write my own check. I even wrote one time, put it in a drawer. And that's the kind of thing that kept me going. I said, this is what I'm going to pay myself. Not just cash out, but a net worth, So you're building net worth because I'm telling you, what you pay yourself as far as a W 2, that that's not the money. That's not the money. And a lot of people get it all twisted. That is because if you're going to get wealthy and you're going to walk away wealthy, or my book, and if you don't have it, shame on you. Um, this one, The Entrepreneur Dentist, those are, you can't get there just by um, you can't get there just lucky. You got to plan this thing, and you have to study, and you have to want to exit at a certain time with a certain amount in your mind. That's where you're going to exit. And it's like just winning the game. Life doesn't change if you get a lot of money. Really, you might live in a different kind of house or drive a different car for it. But by and large, you eat the same thing. You can't. And especially at my age, there's a lot of things I could do, but I don't do because I already been there, done that, so forth. So now you realize it's just the game, and you could play the game and have a lot of fun. It's very similar to, and I have this. I recommend you get this book. Really, the cash flow quadrant. This is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, the cash flow quadrant. There's another one, but start with this. Start with this. Get a great understanding. You got to get these things that take you. If you're going to take Malcolm's journey, and it's Malcolm's journey here, he said 100, no, $10 million in 5 years. And I said, hell yeah, you can do that. Here's what you want to do though. You want to get yourself. The first thing is your mindset. That's why I say be, do, have. And there's a book, Be, Do, Have, but it's the one by a specific author. And later I'll put it in a PDF and post it. But it's a great book because you have to be first, and that when the being is who you are in your mind, and that's why you have to work on your mindset. And even and like I said, I spent a lot of time following people like Jim Rohn and then Tony Robbins and different ones that I would study, and a lot of books that I would buy because I wanted to get my mind, and being around, even going places, be around those kind of people that are going, and they're actually in the thing. They're actually going for it. You got to get it, because if you hang around, I'm telling you, if you hang around with pigeons, you're a pigeon. If you're flying with eagles, then you can consider yourself an eagle. Even the term, like I said, entrepreneur dentist. and I'm self-proclaimed. On my office, I have a big sign up over my office, my headquarters, where I don't practice, but it says entrepreneur dentist, and there's another dentist next door. But a lot of times people walk in my headquarters thinking they want dental work, and I said no, we're the next door, the next door. And my thing is, I put it up there for me, and I have a whole bunch of things in my office. Everywhere I have reminders of what I'm supposed to be on, because it's about the journey and it's all about your mindset. You can do any damn thing you want. I mean, life, and especially in America, life is abundant. I mean, you got everything. Think about it. I come from a family dirt poor. Neither one of my parents graduated high school. We lived, 11 kids in a small house, on a farm. And if I could do it, damn, anybody could do it. It's abundant. Everything out here. You just have to be in the right mindset. Oh, while I'm on it, I want to give a shout out because I realized, and I was thinking about it, my journey has taken me places, but shout out to HBCUs. Really, I'm telling you. I realized I I'm old, so I grew up until I was in high school. I went to a segregated school, so all black school. And then when I graduated high school, I went to an HBCU. And then when I left college, I went to Meharry. So from North Carolina Central Eagles. Shout out to the Eagles out there, and to Meharry Medical and Dental School, and Meharry overall, all the schools at Meharry. But listen, the thing is, it helped me, and when you realize the reason it helped me, I don't think I would have made it in certain other environments. So I was nurtured, and I really want to just give thanks and praise back to to the Father for sending me that route. But I was nurtured and brought this way, and it just seemed as though it's my mission to share some things with you guys. And I think using this thing of Malcolm's dream, and we want to call it is because I want you to tie liquidity to this orgasmic event. It's not just a nocturnal emission. We're talking about actually the romance and going the whole distance, and then building up. And then when you get there, and in a relationship and trying to get there, a lot of times there's going to be some ups and downs in the relationship. But as you get closer, and when you finally get there, and you have that orgasmic event, that liquidity event, that's going to be beautiful. You just got to, but it takes some work. And if you're playing at the right level, you're doing things like Kobe, you're showing up early, you're staying late, and it's on your mind. That's why most people aren't going to do it. It has to become something that you're living, because you're in the game, and not only in the game, you don't have a whole bunch of people, coaches, and everybody around, that you don't have all of your teammates rallying you. You're doing this thing by yourself, because and a lot of times people are pulling against you, whether it be family or the people you're working with, because every time you're trying to go fast, people, and you make a mistake, everybody's going to remind you of that. And now you're afraid to move forward, or somebody is going to say you can't do this or can't do that. And it's not about that. You just the journey and the experience of falling down and getting up, even the money you have to spend. Sometimes you have to spend a lot of money, and one of my friends say, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. Don't consider it a mistake or a loss just because the people didn't accept whatever it was. Sometimes you're learning. Sometimes you're learning. So just keep going. But if you want to get to this thing, I'm telling you, first thing is your mindset, and then it's who you become. You know that you're that person that is on the way to that liquidity event, and how you're going to enjoy this thing when you get there. But don't, like I said, it's just the if it's just the money, that's gonna, you're not gonna walk around just spending money all the time. So it's just the enjoyment and what you learn along the way. You're gonna learn a hell of a lot of things, because you can't get to it. You can't get there unless you learn some things. And even then, you can't hold on to it unless you learn some things. So you're building wealth, and it's a fun game, but make it a game, and don't make it all about the money, because we don't take any of it with us. We're just passing through. So we're just having fun playing the game. This is a game that you're playing. Some people play, like I said, sports, and some people go to Vegas. But what we do, we play the entrepreneur, the business game, and it's business. Consider yourself a business person. And so if you really are going to do it, proclaim it. Say, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur dentist. I'm going to start some people on this path. But anyway, here's the thing you want to also learn: leverage. Leverage other people's money, and they will loan you money. If you're a doctor, they will loan you money. Most people will not accept it, and especially as much as they can get because they're afraid. And the reason they're afraid is probably good reason because they don't know what they're doing. But the reason they don't know what they're doing is because they haven't tried to study it, try to understand it, and then get in the game. Because you're not going to learn everything. You're going to get off into the deep. And I'm saying get into the deep, and you're going to have to swim. Just know you're going to have to swim, and sometimes get a little bit rough. But you really, if you're going to get from where you are today to $10 million in 5 years, you're going to get into the deep. And you're going to need to borrow other people's money, OPM, OPT, other people's time, OPP, other people's professionalism, and so forth. So you're going to have to borrow all of that. You're going to have to leverage it. You're going to have to leverage other people in order to do it. So you're going to have to become that person. You're not manipulating people, but you're actually facilitating things for them. And people appreciate because everybody really, most people, not everybody, but most people like to be led. They want to have somebody leading and not them. They rather, and even if they're close behind, they rather take a second. It takes a lot to be out front because then you're taking the shots, and sometimes you're not going in. Some things aren't going to go right all of the time. But if you're like Kobe or Allen Iverson, you don't mind. You're jacking them up, and that's how you have to be. You're like, no, give me the ball. I'm shooting, and it's serious. So I want you to keep that in mind. Leverage. You have to leverage, and there's a lot of things people are that are willing to do, especially if they see that you can turn a profit on the money and that you know how to handle money and not going out there making crazy mistakes. You're investing in things as you accumulate assets, and as you accumulate assets and get depreciations and so forth, you're building equity, and now all of that is growing. And now people start to understand when they look at your balance sheet, like, damn, this person knows what they're doing. I'll loan you more money because you don't need it at that point. The more you don't need it because you're doing well, the more they're willing to lend. But if you take that and you can turn more, and because when you borrow money, the only thing is there's going to be interest attached. And sometimes the interest is high, sometimes it's low. But if you really know what you're doing, if you can make a hell of a lot more on the money that you borrow, why wouldn't you, right? I know a lot of people are afraid. That's a, like I said, that's a good point if you don't know what you're doing. But if you're going to get out there and reach that in 5 years, you know, $10 million, then what you're doing, like I said, it's the liquidity event that happens. And when you have the liquidity event, and the assets are being exchanged is when you start, this whole thing is really happening, but you got to plan the whole thing out. What does it take? What is the multiples that you're trying to be at? And then the reason I was talking before about arbitrage and how that fits in with the assets and equity is that you get the power of X. Write that down, the power of X. The power of X means the multiples that you're going to get. Because if you sell your business multiples of EBITDA, if you're selling it at 3 times X, and let's say you got $1.5 million in EBITDA. So if you're selling that at 3 times X, that's 4.5. But if you're selling that at 10X, that's 11.5. So it's a big difference. X makes a difference. And the thing of, and that's why I say economy of scale, because a scale changes that multiple just like that. And that's the thing you look at. You learn a lot along the way. I'm telling you, it's all about just take the journey and you learn. And because at the end of the journey, it's like this. Even if you were to lose it all, you can do it all over again. And that's why I say they tell you that the wealthy could do it over again because most of them have taken the journey. Not the rich just necessarily, because sometimes people get rich and they lose it just like that. But wealth is actually accumulation of assets. And then once you accumulate assets, they don't just turn over that easily unless somebody inherits it and then they just and they spend it and it could go. And so you don't really get too tied into this because whatever I've accumulated, I'm soon gone. And I don't know, my kids might say, well, let me just take it and spend it or give it away, meet somebody and just give it away. I can't worry about that. You kind of set up these things, whether you set up a trust and so forth, and you can kind of direct the trust. You're still gone. So whatever they do with the money is, but so you don't get tied to the money and you don't get tied to what is going to happen to it after you're gone and so forth. Even making it now, it's just you want to have that liquidity event because of the experience and who you become on the way. It's about be, do, have. Because if you are that person, you're going to do what is needed to have that thing, whatever it is, that liquidity event. So it's be, do, have in that order. It's not have and then I'll do and then I'll be this person. No, it's be, do, have. Get that right. And I'll send you some. I'll put in the PDF about that, about the be, do, have, but the experience. That is the point. You have to have that experience. I'm trying to just go over some of the notes of things I wanted to recommend. I didn't even have the book here, Michael Gerber, but I did. And when I first started on my kids dental care back in the day, I did study a correspondence course. Michael Gerber, one of the better courses I think on business that I have ever taken was that course. I'd highly recommend. I don't know, that was 30 years ago. But anyway, they probably still do it. He has a lot of books out there. Michael Gerber. It's I think it's a good place. It's a good place to start. And another one, as I said, I don't have here now is uh, the Golden Arches about Ray Kroc. But in the book, the reason I not only Ray Kroc and the whole thing about the franchise prototype, but also you guys, I just want to drop this pearl. In the book, they talk about this guy Ray Sonnebrand, I think his name was the accountant, and when they were trying to do something that didn't have the funding and so forth, then Sonnebrand was saying because he was an accountant, he said the real estate is actually worth more than the franchise. They accumulate all of these different. It was kind of rural. They were picking up all of these little small spots, but over time, the real estate, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of money to be made in the real estate market. And how do you? And, well, we're talking dentistry, but in dental offices or professional offices, as you move along, if you accumulate offices, the right one. You can't just pick up any space because if you do, that may not be worth anything. But if you pick up something in an area that's coming up, that's looking good, you develop it, and that's what they call the forced appreciation rent multiple, farm, FARM, forced appreciation rent multiple. You put something in there and it causes the rent to appreciate and the price of your property to go up. Now you have that, those are assets. And then you build this business, this platform, and that runs, and you have to have it organized in such a way that it works even when you're not there, because now you have a machine that you could sell to somebody. I'm telling you, it's just a beautiful thing. You build something, you build a machine that works, whether you're there or not. Because when I sold my company, I hadn't seen patients in probably the past 10 years, So, and I still maintain a license and I have offices now, but I don't work and I don't even really visit them very often. But now I've built platforms and I bring in people that can work, and I'm resource rich because I have all of these resources now, different doctors and different places and people that I've met and different things, and it's just at this point, it's like things are coming at me, even if I wanted to just quit. It's just because what I've done over time. So take the 5 years, which, like I said, they're gonna 5 years will pass in 5 years anyway, whether you do it or not. So if you really wanted to, you just say, "Well, damn, I'd like to do that. And a lot of people would like it. I find that one of the things, one of the things in this world I find that's so amazing is that the few people that do come to talk to me about um, wealth or trying to accumulate things, most of the time they just want to do it fast. I want to have the things you have and do like you did. I just want to do it like tomorrow. And I'm thinking, I don't know any get rich quick things. 5 years is not that quick, especially if you're going to bear down. It's like about I guess, the lifespan of the pros, whether it's football or basketball. 5 years, you're going to have to dedicate 5 years to business, even if you've gone through dental school. It didn't mean anything when it comes to business because now most people come out and now you're like most people. And that's why most dentists will say, if you ask them if they're doing something, well, everybody else is doing this. What everybody else is what they're talking about is the crowd. Now you're following the crowd. And as this dumb guy I read about Einstein said, if you follow the crowd, you're probably going to wind up where the crowd winds up. It just, no, think about it. It makes sense, right? If you follow the crowd, you're going to wind up the same place the crowd winds up. So if you're really going to do something like this, you damn sure aren't following the crowd. And that's why a lot of times people say, well, you're not the average. You're not like the average dentist. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying. And my thing in my mind, I'm thinking, I never strive to be average. That's the thing. Everybody else just want, not everybody, I'm thinking, but most people want to be average. They want to do what everybody else is doing. And I've always wanted to just do something different than everybody else. And the only thing that really kind of makes sense now, well, then, and even now, especially when it comes to things like earning and so forth, is I just go this way that makes more sense to me. And all of this stuff that I'm telling you is just common sense kind of things, but you do have to study and learn some things. But first is your mindset. Put your mindset right. And then I threw in some things that I wanted to tell you need to have is you want to understand what an org chart is because you have to build an organization and it has to function in a certain way. You have to learn these things. You have to take some classes and you have to study, and it's not necessarily going to school necessarily. There are companies out there that train you to know how to do these things, how to structure a business and set up different things and going in that pathway. And then you have to commit money. You have to be willing to spend to get there. And even if you, when you get ready to have your liquidity event, and you reach out to the investment bankers, they're not going to take a whole year to set up and study your whole business, and then you need to bring in like a CFO to convert everything. You're going to pay for that. You have to pay for that, and it might be 150,000 dollars, and you may not sell, but you have to be willing to take some kind of risk. And everything that when you're an entrepreneur, the risk there are risks, and that's why people say, well, an entrepreneur is a person who takes a lot of risk. No, an entrepreneur necessarily does have to take some risk, but it's calculated risk and that you already know. And if you're doing something that you already know what you're doing over time and you know where you're going, the every now and then you might run into something that run into a wall, but you're not going to try to just run it into it with your forehead until you break the wall down. You just find a workaround. I'm telling you, everything when you're on your journey is a workaround. You run into all kind of bullshit along the way and things that can happen, but you just find the workaround. You just go around that and you keep moving because I got 5 years to get there, and you're in my way. And I'm right there. And then you want to have your mile markers and your milestones that you know you're achieving. So that's why it does kind of make sense that 1, 3, 5 year plan that you're out there. You plan everything. So now 5 years is when you're in the parking lot and you're getting ready to walk in the door. So you start everything from, and then you want to do this, like this guy was saying in this book, Walk Away Wealthy. Even in your and in my book, the reason I wrote the thing about the exit, how to exit your dental business rich, you got to start first with the right plan in mind. Because if you don't have the plan to get there, you're probably not going to just wind up there by accident. How are you going to wind up $10 million richer just by accident? No plan. Doesn't make sense. You're going to have to actually have a plan, and you're going to have to work your plan, and that means expansion. That means getting rid of just you. You're going to have something that works even when you're not working. It works because when the group comes to buy it, they're not dependent on you. You could get hit by the bus. You're out of there. You could die. Anything could happen to you. They don't want you. They want a future profits or revenue stream. So you build a revenue stream and it just operates, and you're like, wow, this is a cash cow. It's just throwing off. I created something, my business. It's just throwing off money. And now these guys, whomever it is, investors, they already have a lot of money. They just want to park their money somewhere that could give them a consistent revenue stream at this certain percentage rate. So now they invest, and then they want to make more on it. They'll probably resell it again. And I know everyone is thinking, well, damn, I don't want my offices to be like that. I put all the love in it and all of the goodwill and so forth. But you're gonna exit anyway. Everybody does, whether you want to or not. One day you're gone. Whether it's age, death, whatever. Sooner or later, you're just out of the air. So you may as well make the plans. It's the same thing. Nobody likes to even discuss death. But you're gonna die, and you might as well, if you plan that. This is just, you're going to exit your business, you might as well exit rich, right? And then not just rich, you want to be wealthy. But I said rich because I think that's the first thing you do. You get a certain amount of money and you're actually rich. And then if you put it into other performing assets, now you're wealthy. And those things you can leave to your kids and so forth. Like I said, nobody wants your job. So if you just create a job. Your kids, and my son doesn't want to be a dentist, and my daughter, she wants to do art. So anyway, nobody wants your job. And the thing is, the investors want a revenue stream, future profits. So that's what you have to build. You have to build a platform that creates revenues and it just performs. Now, how do you do that? You organize and build. You start first with a prototype, and what you have in mind, your vision. Oh, that brings to mind. Oh. I'm going to take a break and do a commercial for you about what we have coming up. This is the Pedo for GP, March 15th in Fresno, California. I should have a flyer. I'm going to send, I should have something to show you guys. But anyway, Pedo for GP, and we're presenting, and I'm a continuing education provider. So we have an 8-hour C course in Fresno, California. So if you're in Central California, come out. Love to meet you. If you're a sponsor, get a table and just come out. I think it's going to be beautiful. We're actually meeting, and it's a beautiful thing. What we're doing is the pedo for GP is this, and the reason it started is like this. One, I need providers. I have a couple of I have 5 offices started now in Central California, and we have 2 pediatric specialists. One is board certified, been there for years, so that's my clinical director. And then we have some GPs, and I need the specialist because I want to make sure that the quality is of a certain standard. And I want doctors who aren't used to doing a lot of pediatrics to have someone that they can train under, and that they can, do the over the shoulder and so forth. So, what I really discovered over the years, and my journey has taken me, is that in order for me to expand my platform, I needed, and I used to teach the course, Pedo for GP, but I realized a board certified pediatric dentist with years of experience will get your attention more than I would. And you'll listen more if he's the one that's critiquing what you're doing. So the quality assurance. So we're starting a training program, and this is good because post COVID, a lot of doctors aren't getting as much experience training on the job, and especially coming out of school, or recent graduates, or most dentists are not, they don't have they're kind of afraid of treating kids. So in order to get them to that point, you need to have doctors there that show the confidence in how you can get there. And I think that's something that we came up with that's going to change the way this thing is distributed throughout the country because there's a provider shortage. And once you realize that there's a provider shortage, and especially pediatric dentists, and most pediatric dentists don't treat the underserved. So now that's opportunity. So what we do is we can help the GPs by training them in an environment that they get a lot of experience, they get monitoring, they get the over the shoulder observation, and so forth. So I think that's where really there's some room for really a lot of expansion, and I'll talk about that some. But today I just want to complete this thing on Malcolm's liquidity event, his orgasmic liquidity event. So I talked about the books, the seminars, how you have to learn a lot of business because you're not going to feel comfortable jumping out there and getting this leverage, and especially loans if you already have loans from school. But the thing is, how are you going to pay back those loans? Unless you start. Now, what we do have also, what we're doing at the five offices that I recently started, I got those qualified for student loan repayment program. This is, I'm telling you, I have to think all of this thing through. But if I purchase these properties, invest everything in them, and they're like underserved areas, I have to be able to draw the doctors there. And since I was NHSC provider, I signed up for the NHSC and they had like $150,000 that you can get back, payback of your student loans. And if you come and work at one of these beautiful facilities, so I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? You come, you work there, you get paid at the same time, you get the experience of working with doctors that's training you to do certain things, and you walk away wealthy already. Your student loans paid back, and and you made a lot of money and you learn things by hanging out with the entrepreneur dentists at the same time. So it's an opportunity for those that can see it, those that don't. Thank you for listening. But anyway, that's the thing, that it's all about the mindset. You can do anything and have anything you want if you can create the right mindset. So uh, you want to be, and this is the thing. We're like, I'm going back to this thing of having that $10 million. You're gonna, in order to do it though, you have to think. You can't be your average person, because if you do, you're gonna get average results. You're gonna have to become extraordinary. Extraordinary, not in who you are as a person, but as far as your performance and what you know and what you're going for. You can't aim for the same thing that most people are aiming for. And if you can't do that, you can't spend the same amount of time and spend the same amount of time around them. You have to, and this that thing has to be on your mind a lot. That's why it's not going to work for everybody, because it's the thing, you wake up in the middle of the night and you're planning, and especially if you have a 5 year plan, 3 year plan, 1 year plan, and then you have a 12 month 1 year plan. You break it up into a monthly plan. And now, what do I want to be in 12 months? If I'm going to be there in 5 years, I want to be at this point a month from now. And then you write your list and this is some tips I'm telling you, and a lot of people may not, but I'm just giving you mine, what I did. Um, I find that a to-do list for me was just something that helped me. I'm telling you, every week. Well, I have a monthly plan. I already had, like I said, a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. But now back it down to 1 year and then to 1 month. So now I'm thinking I want to do this week. Do a week. Okay. Stay with me. Do 1 week. And then on every Sunday is what you're going to do. You're going to have on Sunday evening, whenever you finish whatever your weekend is like, try to finish in time that Sunday night, especially when everybody else is asleep. You're having that quiet time and you're planning, what can I do this week that's going to put me closer to my objective down the road? So my 1 month plan, which is going to put me closer to my 1 year plan, which is going to put me closer to my 3 year and my 5 year plan. So what can I do to this week? and you write out 20 things. So your top 20 things, and you want to at least take an hour just thinking about what are the top 20. I'm telling you, the reason most people aren't going to do this because, like they say, thinking is the hardest thing in the world. Most people don't want to think. That's why they put on all the headphones and walk around blasting and hanging out with everybody and so forth. Because in order to think, you got to quiet everything. You got to turn everything off and get up, in the middle of the night and let your mind just go at it. And then you're going to say, and then when you say top 20, now you got to look at that for the week. These are the most important things that I can do this week that will put me on that path so that I'm closer to my monthly goal. So you do that on Sunday night. And then Sunday night is a longer one because now you want to say, what am I going to do tomorrow? Monday so that I could put that on my to-do list for Monday. So you want to take the top 20 and move probably the top 5 or 6 up to Monday if you can do them. Some of you might have to do other days, but these are things you can do this week, must do in order to keep moving. So you want to put those. So you're being conscious all of the time. This is something you're cognizant of when you wake up because you put it on. Now you can just do a calendar on your phone or whatever and just pop up and put a reminder and a second reminder on it, and you're hitting those things even though your to-do list, even your stuff, if you got to pick up your clothes from the cleaners or whatever that goes on there, it's not the most important thing, but I think you should be, because now time is the thing you don't have a hell of a lot of because everything is planned. And when you're going somewhere and people can tell that you're going somewhere, a lot of times they step out the way, because you're moving, you're going down the sidewalk and you're kind of moving fast. It's not that you're being rude, it's just that you don't have time because you're actually going somewhere, and most people aren't. They're not going anywhere because they didn't plan to be anywhere. They just go to work because they tell me I have to be there at 9 o'clock and I get off at this time. And so you're working somebody else's plan. And it's okay because I need people to work my plan. But I'm telling you, if you're that person that's out there that's listening, that's talking, and that's going, from a big thing, $10 million exit or liquidity event, that orgasmic event, you're going to have to move a little bit different than the crowd. You're not doing what they're doing. You're not moving with the crowd. And it's like I'm saying, I'm not trying to down, but if you, and people, even I find it kind of curious how people can say mediocrity is less than average. No, if you're with the crowd, that's average and that's ordinary and that's mediocre. And mediocre is mediocrity, and that's what if you want to be like everybody else, and with what most people do, you want mediocrity. And there's a thing I have up in my room that says, the price of success is discipline. The cost of mediocrity is regret. Yep, it does. It says that. It says the price of success is discipline. If you're going to be successful, you're going to have to discipline yourself and just go the whole way and just stay disciplined. Think Kobe, discipline. Think Kobe, and the cost of mediocrity is regret. I think it says regret, and it's something. But anyway, it's similar to regret. The cost of mediocrity. So the cost of being like everybody else is later on in life you regret it. Like, damn, I should have gone that way, or I should have broken from that. But I followed what everybody else is doing because I like just following the crowd. I don't have to think. I just do what everybody else is doing. But it's okay. I'm not trying to down people that are, that. And I'm not saying that I'm some kind of different or better or whatever. But I'm just saying, as far as achieving something, you're going to have to go, if you're going to want to do that and really be have exceptional or extraordinary results. You're going to have to be extraordinary person. That's why I say be, do, have. You become extraordinary in your whole mindset, the makeup, the people that you're around. That's why you have to read certain books. You have to go and take certain courses and be around other people that are spending exorbitant amount of money to be there in a crowd that is exclusive, that are people who are going places. And those people are going places. And that's the reason they're like, damn, I want to be in that group and I want to be around them. Nothing wrong. I'm telling you. I have friends that are dirt broke, and I love them just the same as I did when but I know if I hang out with them too long, I would be broke. So I do have people I have to hang out with that are in the know and moving and going, but I'm not trying to, get around anybody and bootlicking and whatever. I just go to certain events because I sometimes keep my mind right. And I'd like to have this thing. I did show this book, huh? Uh, Reginald Lewis. Watch your white guys have all the fun. Oh, I love it. Anyway, Reginald, he bought Beatrice Foods and became the first black billionaire in America. And, that was just motivational me. And in the book, gosh, what was his name? The investment banker that is working with. Anyway, he was saying he's just a wealthy servant because he was putting deals together, and you're making money just by putting deals together. This is an interesting read. Read the book. I'm telling you, read this. And it doesn't matter whether you're white, black, or Asian or whatever. Just read the book. I think it's good. Read my book. I'm black, but read my book, and read Mark Tepper's book. Like I said, the books and the principles are what you want to extract from it. Learn some knowledge, and the other thing, like I said, rich dad, poor dad. Just these are the tools you have to have before you go out there. And in May, what I'd like to do is take some people on the journey. If you want to do that $10 million journey, I'd like to get you started, but you got to step out there. So what I'm going to do is just push people, jump out there, and I'd like to get you in the water and get you started on your $10 million journey. I think that's going to be great. So, and then you have your orgasmic event. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say today. It's but it's about a transformation. You're going to have a transformation, and from who you are to who you're becoming. And you have to, in your mind, you have to make that transformation first, and then you say, I'm. This is who I am. Be, your being. That's who you are. And now you're going to do what the person that you're becoming or you became, what it needs to do in order to have what this being has. And I know it's kind of confusing, but be, do, have. You gotta be first. You have to be. So get your mindset. Get your mindset. Because any of that stuff you could do, you can have anything you want, but you're gonna have to change your mindset towards going for it. And because most people kind of get into this thing of pity me. Life just isn't like that. It's going to serve up what it's going to serve up, whether you're going to be ready and prepared or not. And a lot of people, and most people, are going to wind up really regretting and what they shoulda, coulda, woulda, or as Tony said, shoulda done, shoulda, until they're shitting all over themselves. So you don't want to get to shitting on yourself. So make sure that you start out with a plan, and with that plan, you're going to march to that goal that you set, and that schedule it. You have to always keep in mind the time. That was the last thing I'm going to say. Dave, my dad, the one thing I learned, because Dave could be brutal, but the thing, if he sent you somewhere, he wanted you back at a certain time, and he looked at his watch. He said, "Go in a haste, come in a pace. Don't stay long at any place." And he said, "Now go." And you if going to the store is like 3 miles away, and you're running the whole time, and then you're running back to just. But and I think that helped me in life, though. I've been close in high school or whatever, but you couldn't fail your grade. You had to be back. You had to pass at that time. The same thing by the time I got in college, it was like 4 years. I got to be out of here. Same thing with Harry. 4 years, boom, got to go. Same thing every time. You got to be pace. You got to be on pace. And whatever it is, if you set that date and that time, now it's scheduled. You got to just be there. Don't bullshit around. be there and get and let people move out of your way, and everything will happen. And the whole pathway will part for you if you're going and you're traveling. You're really going somewhere, and everybody realize around you, damn, he's going somewhere. And then they even the things that you need, it'll just fall in place. I'm telling you, it's maybe it just happened to me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Father. And I really do. I'm not just making some, I know I'm being guided and the things are just falling in place for me. So I don't know. I could tell you some things, but I don't know whether it works that way for you. Maybe he doesn't like you like he likes me. I don't know. But it's not about the money, you know. I just because it's not. You won't take any of this with you. The whole thing is just like I say, it's a game. I played a game, but I know at this point, and my confidence is whatever I do, he's going to provide for me. So I could go in this direction, that direction. I wouldn't worry. It's all going to work out for me. It may not work out for you, but I would take this advice and just say, well, damn, I'm going to plan it. I'm going to plan it such that when I start, I'm going to follow this plan. I'll lay it out for you. I'm in May 1st. I'm actually retiring. Excuse me. I'm stepping down as CEO. Of course, I'm still going to be director, you know, and I want to guide, you know, the ship. But also, I want to, at that point, I want to start some people on their journey, you know, because hell is over for me as far as, you know, just trying. I'm not really trying to achieve. I do want to do another. I'd like to have the liquidity event, the major liquidity event. I had a liquidity event, but I didn't experience the major one yet. So I'd like to participate in a major event, you know. So I'll be around, and but I'd like to get some people started on their event, help them especially start building something that in 5 years they can have a liquidity event, you know. And what we're looking for probably is strategic partners if we reach that point, rather than just private equity. I think if you get the right strategic partner, then you can say, well, I expect this quality to go on and so forth. I think private equity can kind of screw it up sometimes, in that they're just looking for profits, you know, and then they start really, some DSOs really screwed it up like that because it just becomes profit driven. Healthcare can't be like that. Especially we're treating kids. So it's something that I delight in building. And if you build something, build it and they will come. Build it and they will come. And I think that's enough. That's all for today's whatever, guys. I'm going to see you next time. Hopefully next week I have something even better, but this is what I'm enjoying it. So thank you. Bye.